Sitting in front of me is a green card interview appointment notice for a final green card interview. Now it seems pretty straightforward and simple, but as we go through it, you'll see that some of it can be a little bit complicated. I'm Puyan Darian, here to teach you something about immigration law. The green card interview notice has a bunch of instructions on what you should do in particular situations. For example, one of the first things that it says is you must appear for this interview. However, if you are ill, have symptoms of illness, have traveled outside of the US within the past 10 days, blah, 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 contact our contact center at this phone number as soon as possible to reschedule your appointment. There's no penalty for requesting that your appointment be rescheduled. Right? So they give you the phone number. But in reality, when you call that phone number, you need to select or choose the option for InfoPass, or you'll be on the line for like a half hour, unable to speak to a live human being. When you get someone through an InfoPass appointment, you reschedule your appointment and you must write down the confirmation number that they give you. I've had at least 20 clients do this in the last year, and they all wrote down confirmation numbers. 2 of those 20 were subsequently denied their green card, and it was through no fault of their own. What happened was they requested to reschedule their interview. USCIS messed up. A few months later, instead of sending them a new interview appointment notice like they promised they would, they sent them a denial notice saying, hey, you failed to appear for your interview. You never contacted us. You gave no reason. Therefore, you are denied. Where my clients wrote down the confirmation number, we were able to eventually get those cases reopened. It was a pain, but it was fixable. If they didn't write down those confirmation numbers, there was a chance we would have had to reapply, repay the $1,760 government filing fee, wait another year for the process to get to where we were. It would have been a nightmare. So be sure to write down the confirmation number after you reschedule your green card interviews. The next section in the green card appointment notice says, who should come with you to the green card interview? Only the following people may come with you to the interview. And then there's a bunch of bullet points. The first bullet point says, if your eligibility is based on your marriage, your spouse must come with you to the interview. A couple bullet points further down, they say, if you are a minor under 14 years old, a parent or guardian must come with you to the interview. If your eligibility is based on a parent-child relationship and you are a minor, your petitioning parent must come with you to the interview. So this part of the green card notice is referring to various different situations. The takeaway for most of my clients is where the green card is based on a marriage and it's based on a spouse who's a US citizen, you don't need to bring your kids with you to the green card interview. In fact, it's frowned upon to bring your kids with you. You might be permitted to. You may have heard situations where other people brought their kids and it was fine and the officer was joking around with them. That may be true. What I'm telling you is that you're not really supposed to bring your kids with you, and the green card interview tells you not to bring your kids with you. Now, of course, if the kids are children from this marriage, which means, the spouses are the parents of the kids, you should definitely bring evidence of the kids with you to the interview. Their birth certificates, photographs with the kids, evidence that you celebrated their birthday with them, whatever it is. Bring evidence, not the kids. The interview notice goes on to say, if you do not speak English fluently, you should arrange to have an interpreter available by phone. Do not bring an interpreter to the interview. So the interview notice says that you should have an interpreter available by phone. What does that really mean? Somebody who's competent in your language and English should be available by phone. But in reality, USCIS 99% is not going to call this person. I have never actually seen USCIS call the interpreter that the client made available for the interview. USCIS uses their own contract interpreters by telephone. So if you don't speak English, the main important thing is to go there and tell them that you need an interpreter for the interview. When you walk into the interview waiting room, you have to check in at the window. That's a great place to tell them, hey, I need a Spanish or Mandarin or whatever language interpreter for this interview. Don't try to proceed in English unless you're really comfortable in English. If you answer questions wrong because you kind of understood but kind of didn't, it's not going to be an excuse to say you didn't speak English. You had an opportunity to use an interpreter, so take advantage of it. The last part of the interview appointment notice is probably the most important part. It says, you must bring the following items with you. And then it says, please use a checklist to prepare for your interview. It goes through a ton of documents here, tax returns, your medical exam, your birth certificate. It discusses different categories and says, like, if you applied for a green card in this category, bring this document, otherwise you don't have to. Originals and a copy of each original document, translations of any foreign language documents. All of this is super important. Normally, when I do the final interview prep with my clients, the first thing we do is we create a full list of original documents and photocopies that they need to bring with them to the interview. After we go through all the documents on this interview notice, we create another list of supplemental evidence that will make their green card interview easier, like evidence of their good faith marriage that will help convince the officer and make the officer less dependent on the questions and answers, because, you know, everyone's nervous at this interview. You want the officer to depend as much as possible on just the documents that you bring with you to the green card interview. Thank you guys for making it this far into my video. If you're interested in learning more about the green card interview, I've created several super substantive videos on this topic, really direct videos, which you may want to check out. I'll link to one at the end of this video. And as always, be sure to subscribe. I'll be back next week with another video.